Hello and bon dia to viewers in Brazil and good afternoon to viewers in the UK. The UK is going to the polls today. It's election day, it's a big day, and it's likely that Labour are going to be in office tomorrow. It's likely that Keir Starmer is going to be resident at number 10 Downing Street tomorrow. I hope you like my home office. I've had this for quite a while, but it's the first time I'm recording a video in my home office, so hopefully it's the first video of many at this desk, so I can share my views and hopefully provide some useful content to our subscribers. This video is directed at British citizens in Brazil, and a lot of the concepts I'm going to discuss today apply to British citizens and expats around the world anyway. And it's also relevant for Brazilians who are holding sterling denominated assets such as UK shares, UK funds and property. So I've got my notes here. I'm old school. I keep my notes on paper. I'm not quite in the world of artificial intelligence. Not yet. I haven't even created my own avatar yet. Maybe I'll get around to that. But yeah, it's election day, and after 14 years of Conservative government, it appears to be a foregone conclusion that Labour are going to win by a landslide. And if you look at the betting markets, it's 100 to 1 on that Labour are going to win. That means an implied probability of 99%. And for any other party to win, it's 33 to 1. So let's assume Labour, for the purpose of this video and what I'm going to discuss, let's just assume it's going to be a Labour government tomorrow. So in terms of questions that I've received from clients, from friends, from people in my business network, I'll try and be concise. I'm not really that good at that, but I'll try and be concise. I'll just focus on three questions which I've been hearing more. The questions are: what will be the likely impact on the UK stock market? What does this mean for sterling? And are taxes likely to go up under a Labour government? So let's go through these. What will be the likely impact on the UK stock market? So the FTSE 100, it's a list of it's the index of the largest 100 UK listed companies. Familiar names like BP, Shell, Diageo, Unilever, HSBC, and the biggest company is, does anyone know? It's AstraZeneca. That's the biggest company by market cap in the UK. And the FTSE 250, it's the next batch of companies, so to speak. It's company 101 to company 350. So with the FTSE 100 and 250, you've got the top 350 companies in the UK by market cap. And a lot of investment funds, UK equity investment funds, pensions, ISAs will have exposure to those companies either directly or indirectly through funds. And the FTSE is close to its all-time high. It's just like 1%, 1.5% off its all-time high. And the FTSE is up. The FTSE 100 is up 6% year to date. But a lot of markets are up close to their all-time highs, like the S&P, the NASDAQ. Brazil's, it's experiencing some volatility in recent weeks, but still the stock market is close to its all-time high. And so are a lot of other markets in Europe and Asia. But markets, this is the point which I think I really need to drive home. Markets are forward-looking. Stock markets are forward-looking, and they're pricing in new information. And in terms of the general election, will a Labour government have an impact on the stock market? Well, it's already been priced in. It's been priced in for a very, very long time. Even if this election were held in July last year, I think Labour would have won it easily. Because, a lot of macro data has a bigger impact on the stock market generally than an election result, especially when it's really likely to happen. The FTSE is fairly diversified, and the companies I mentioned, like Unilever and Diageo, AstraZeneca, they derive their revenue. A lot of their revenues in dollars, euros, yen, yuan, Swiss francs. So it's not really dependent on what happens in the domestic economy. And even then, as I said, it seems to be a foregone conclusion that Keir Starmer is going to be at 10 Downing Street tomorrow. It's more likely to be affected by a surprise interest rate change. That's more likely to have an impact on the stock market. Corporate earnings, maybe some surprise information at the next Labour budget, whether it's a big budget or a mini budget. If we look at the mini budget in September 2022 under the Liz Truss government, it was a very short government, but that mini budget did more to rock the markets because it was really, really unexpected. some of the proposed changes were unexpected. So that had a significant effect on the currency and the market. So if it's a coalition government, again, I don't think that's likely, but if it is, that could generate uncertainty, which no one's factoring in at the moment. So I like to talk about action points. This is all about financial planning for us, for individuals, action points. How do we adapt to this? I'm going to sound like a broken record. If anyone's seen my previous content and my articles on the Ipanema Wealth website, if we're looking at long-term, medium-term and long-term financial planning, your asset allocation should be updated periodically in line with your own risk profile, with your own liquidity requirements, your own lifestyle goals like retirement, providing for children's education, financial independence by a certain age. That is the focus of your financial planning, and your asset allocation is going to be based on long-term growth and having exposure to different markets and different currencies. So I wouldn't say you should do anything drastic. Let's wait for new information after Labour take office. Now the second question, what does this mean for sterling? And let's drill down here. What does it mean specifically for GBP BRL? So that's pound sterling. As far as the pound is concerned, it's already priced in. It's priced in just like the stock market. However, in Brexit, people say, well, what about Brexit in June 2016? Well, that wasn't really expected. I was shocked when I when I just tuned in. I tuned in at about 10 o'clock Brazil time. So it was around 2 a.m. in the UK. And I couldn't believe what I was seeing, when I read the headline, breaking news, UK set to leave the EU. And that took the market by surprise. And sterling depreciated by over 10% against the dollar, and then even more, maybe another 5 percentage points in the following week. So about 14-15% in the immediate aftermath of the Brexit vote, because it was generally unexpected. And then again, as I mentioned earlier, September 2022 in the Truss Kwarteng mini budget, that was shocking. I don't even think they discussed it with their own party members. So that hit the pound even more against the dollar, and it went to, I would say, an all-time low, maybe a 20-year low. The depreciation of the real against sterling, you've got to look more at what's happening in Brazil. A change of government in the UK is not going to have a drastic effect on that currency pairing. This is more to do with the higher global risk perception of Brazil. There's a higher perception of country risk of Brazil. A lot of institutional capital has left Brazil in recent months, and the pound is 7-1. I mean, that's its highest level in 2 years. And people have said, well, could it go to 8 or 9? I don't know. It's trending that way, but I don't have a crystal ball. So in terms of practical, people asking for practical advice, like, Amit, should I bring all of my cash, my pounds? Should I bring all of my pounds, my dollars? Should I bring them to Brazil? It's really dependent on your personal circumstances and where you're spending most of your time. Do you have a lot of expenses here? Do you have any kind of big expenses in the near future? Then yeah, maybe it's a good idea to take a chunk of sterling and take advantage of what could be a temporary weakness of the Brazilian real, or it could go on. No one has a crystal ball. But be careful of having all of your assets in one currency in one country. As I've said many times, we're medium to long-term financial planners. So remove the emotion, the émotion, and be more systematic in your planning. And then, think about what your goals are. Remember, in 2004, I don't know if anyone's old enough to remember that, but in 2004, I came here on holiday. That was my first time in Brazil. And it was 5.5. £1 would buy you 5.5 reals. In 2011, £1 would buy 2.6 Brazilian reals. Imagine that, 2.6. And right now, since 2020, to date, it's been in the 6 to 7 range. What about the euro? It's good to have assets in all of these currencies, in reals, in dollars, in sterling, and euros. It's good to be diversified. But what would happen if you depended heavily on the euro? I mean, it only takes one more exit, one more Brexit style thing to happen, and that could tank the euro. I don't think that's going to happen for a while, but medium to long term, who knows? Let's go on to question 3. Are taxes likely to go up? Now, a lot of Labour's opponents have been talking about Labour being the party of high taxation. But in the short term, until Labour have their first mini or major budget, I don't think anything significant is going to change, because I think they'll stick, when it comes to income taxes, I think they'll stick to the 20%, 40% and 45% thresholds for basic, higher and additional ratepayers. These are still stealth taxes because the thresholds haven't gone up with inflation. So actually their tax revenue has been increasing as more people have been forced into higher tax brackets with fiscal drag. These stealth taxes also apply to inheritance tax, where the threshold of 325k has been frozen for a long time. And in terms of capital gains tax, there's not much room for manoeuvre because the allowance is only £3,000. So in terms of income, inheritance, capital gains tax, I can't see anything drastic happening in the near future, but obviously you've got to watch those spaces. But I would expect a higher burden of tax for the middle person, the working man, as everyone keeps saying. I would expect a higher burden of taxation over the next parliament. And I would actually say that would have happened even if we had another Tory government. That's just due to the demographics and the state of government finances generally. So there's not much to say there. All I'd say is, if you are living here and you're deriving employment income or pension income from the UK, just structure yourself efficiently. That's a whole new topic. There's also a lot of valuable information in previous videos on this channel on how to structure yourself and how you can procure more information on the subject. But if you are being taxed at source in the UK, you need to think about how to structure yourself in Brazil so you're not paying more than you need to. There are a lot of ways to optimize your taxation if you are facing dual reporting obligations and if you have got income in one or more countries. So I hope that was useful, and I'll probably watch the news around 7 or 8 p.m. Brazil time tonight, by which time I think we'll have a definitive result in the UK in the early hours of Friday morning. And I'll see you again for the next video. Cheers.